guys, I'm back with another Wear and Compare, and today we will be going through 3, potentially 4, depending on what arrives before I finish this video, Bourjois foundations. And the first one's going to be the 123 Perfect CC Cream, which is the one that I picked up in a recent haul, and I thought this was going to be something that I could wear on my kind of non-makeup days, something that would slightly even out my skin and not provide a tremendous amount of coverage but feel quite light. And it's actually completely different to what I expected. It is definitely still light and fresh, but it's got considerably more pigmentation than I expected. I thought it was going to be a corrector, and it is just more a very, very light base, or a light feeling base that's actually quite medium coverage. I love the way it feels. It's been my favourite foundation or favourite base of the moment. Most recently, I have been reaching for this more than my beloved Estee Lauder Double Wear, which is a big deal. But we shall see how this lasts, because I've never, I feel like it lasts quite well, but I haven't really put it to the test and really inspected it at the end of the day, so we shall see. I think this is a really, really good one. It's lasted really well. The finish is still really nice. I haven't powdered at all, haven't topped up anything, and I've been in and out of the car all over the place. It's raining right now, as you can hear. It's been raining all afternoon. So it's been kind of humid in the car as well, and normally on this kind of day I would have been super oily, and I'm not, which is surprising. But more importantly, all these little areas around here where normally I would find little kind of dry patches, and it will have either worn away and it's red, or then an aeroplane's going over us. Worst possible time to film this. But all around here and around here it normally gathers, and it hasn't at all. This is still probably one of my favourites currently, and I'm interested to see how it holds up against some of its siblings. Less rainy today, but I can still hear aeroplanes. I don't know. Bourjois City Radiance is the second foundation I'm going to be testing out. This one I think is a slightly higher coverage and lasts a little bit longer, but it's not quite as nice on my skin, and it's a little bit almost dry. I feel like that one would definitely benefit from maybe being applied with a beauty blender. It is buildable, so I can add to this, and I feel like it sets, whereas the CC cream definitely is more of a fluid base, and it never really 100% feels like it's set on my skin, which feels quite fresh. This one definitely feels like it's set, so I could add to this now and create more coverage, which I think is why in the back of my mind I thought this was a higher coverage foundation. But I think I'm going to do just one application. It's probably on par. Yeah, it's much, much drier. All around these areas where I have dryness, all around here, the areas that it would normally settle, it does straight away. And I think that if you had particularly dry skin or any dry patches that you were very conscious of and you didn't want to accentuate, this would not be the foundation for you. This one requires a little bit of prep. Your skin needs to be as smooth as possible, the nicest possible canvas to start with, for it to give you the nicest finish, which is not always what you're looking for, but if you have particularly good skin, then you might like this one. How shiny am I right now? I'm so oily. I've like blotted multiple times throughout the day. But I'm feeling more than, I mean this is highlight, but I'm feeling more than a little bit dewy. It's lasted okay. I thought, I mean this is actually Kat Von D's Everlasting lipstick, in case anyone's wondering. This is super, super dry, and I can't wait to take this off, but I thought I'd leave this on at the same time to just see what it looked like. You can see it's kind of just like, yeah, I think it looks okay. I probably would have to powder or something. It is really oily, especially since I have blotted my face throughout the day. I thought this was going to be longer lasting than the other one and potentially more mattifying, but not quite as nice a finish. But overall, so far, I still think that the CC is my winner. Today's foundation is the Air Mat. All the colours I think I've shown you so far are ivory, and this one is vanilla. Because I didn't have this one in ivory, so this is number 2. This might be a little bit better for me in summertime, I was thinking, because obviously it's a mattifying foundation and I don't want to be super oily. I mean, today I've been already going around the house and cleaning things up, and I just feel, really kind of sticky because it's getting to be a little bit warmer outside. So I'm kind of thinking this might work as I get a little bit darker, but if it doesn't match straight away, then that is why I feel like that was much, much drier to apply than the City Radiance. It felt much drier against my skin, and I don't feel like I got as much coverage either. I've definitely got like little patches of dryness here that I didn't even know that I had. It wasn't horrible, and it still feels quite fresh. It smells the same as the other foundations. It's, as with all of the Bourjois ones so far, I felt like everything's felt very light, even this one, but I didn't feel like that was as nice to apply, and it doesn't look as nice as the previous two. I mean, the City Radiance is not my favourite, but I would say that I like this even less. One thing I did want to mention, because it was kind of brought to my attention in another video in the comments, I thought, as I'm filming this now, I don't necessarily apply foundation the same way that you guys apply foundation. Everyone applies it differently, but especially when I'm doing a day test or any kind of review, I really like to apply foundation with my hands because I can feel the texture of the foundation against my skin. Now, I might discover that later on one of these foundations might apply better with a beauty blender or a brush or whatever else. I often find that it tends to be kind of a beauty blender. I've never found anything that applies better with a brush than with my fingertips, but maybe with a beauty blender if I had the time. I think the City Radiance was one of those foundations, a little bit thicker, would have maybe benefited from being applied in thin layers, and the effect and the finish might have been nicer. But yeah, I will be applying all foundations with my fingers because that's just what I do. First impressions for this one, not so great. I feel like we are declining as we go through. So I know oftentimes I will mention being oily and just oil control in general because it's something I would like to have from a foundation, that I actually, you know, like the coverage, I like the finish, I like the longevity and how it feels, and for it to be oil control would be a great thing. So that's why I mention it for me, but I know that it's not always relevant for you guys. In this case, it is an air matte foundation, so it's supposed to be light, but it's supposed to help to keep you matte, and so it is relevant. I do think that this is, I am shiny, but I think I'm less shiny perhaps than I was with the City Radiance. I don't know, I don't like the coverage of this. I don't like the way that it sits on my skin. I think that my face products here have kind of broken down a little bit differently with this one than the previous ones, and I just generally don't really like this one. I was really disappointed because I thought that this was potentially going to be the hybrid of a really nice feeling Bourjois foundation with something slightly more mattifying, which would really appeal to me, but I think this one is a miss. In fact, if you can actually see up close there, all around my pores and stuff, I just don't think that it's settled particularly nicely. So it's the last day, and we're going to be using the Bourjois Healthy Mix Serum today. I know there's a difference between the serum and the original. Someone mentioned this in a comment recently, and I do have a very old video, maybe, I don't know, like 4 years ago, when I did compare the two. Now obviously the formulas might be different now, but if you guys are interested, I do have that video if you want to see a comparison. But I'm just going to be using the original serum today. Or this is not the original, is it? This is the kind of the newer version. And it's the shade Vanilla Claire. I forgot how nice that smelled. It's got such a specific scent that I feel like the other ones don't have. It also feels so nice to apply. One of the nicest feeling foundations I've ever put on my face. And it used to be a massive favourite of mine for years and years, and then I discovered various other things. And you kind of forget about your favourites when new and more exciting products are released and you try those, and then other things are kind of put by the wayside. So I'm glad to have this back. First impressions are, like I say, it felt nice, it feels very fresh, and the scent is like really nostalgic now. But when I looked in the mirror afterwards, there's definitely little areas here where it has picked up on some dryness. Strange, this is the one that I really didn't think that was going to happen with. It's probably on a par with the CC cream. Maybe this one is slightly worse for picking up on those dry areas. And it's not got quite as much coverage, I would say, but feels very nice. I'm going to wear it today. We're actually travelling down to the Ashford Eurostar station today because we're going to Disneyland tomorrow, which is pretty exciting. If you are interested, there will be vlogs on my other channel as and when I manage to get those edited and uploaded. But yes, we're going to Disneyland, and I thought it would be interesting to do kind of a travelling day test for this one because otherwise it'll be a day in the park, and that's not really a fair test. It's not even particularly dewy, I would say. It's actually quite a satin finish, quite a natural finish, and that's unusual for me to be able to find something like that that feels as nice as this one does but doesn't make me look kind of shiny before I powder. So that's interesting. We'll be back later to let you know how I feel about this one and kind of give you a little conclusion of all four. End of the day, we're in the hotel, so pardon the lighting and the echo, but here's what we're left with. It's not the best, to be honest. As I remember, this was one of my favourite foundations for really natural finish and feel. And it was something that worked really well if you needed to redo your makeup and you didn't have time to take it all off. I could put this back on top, I could layer it up on top of other makeup, and it felt completely amazing. And it never went kind of weird. It's definitely, I can see why it's called the Serum foundation rather than a regular foundation, because it does definitely feel more skincare. But kind of part and parcel with that is that you're not going to get the most long wearing. It is more radiant and it feels nicer, and definitely my skin maybe kind of glows. But if you've got very oily skin to begin with, that might not be the most ideal. foundation for you. So although at once upon a time I loved it, and maybe there's still a place for it for me, this is not my favourite purely because of my skin type. So in conclusion, finishing up in the Premier Inn bathroom in Ashford, I'd still think that the CC123 or 123cc cream, whatever it's called, is my favourite of the four. I think the only one that I really didn't like was the matte, the Air Mat one. The other three I would still potentially use, it's just that it would just depend on the circumstances as to why I reached for those over the CC cream, and right now I can't think of really many occasions in which I would. It's just so much better than I imagined. It's not the tinted moisturiser that I thought it would be, but it blends out really nicely, so you can use a very small amount and even out the skin tone without really giving yourself a really high coverage foundation, but it still feels very light and fresh. The finish is beautiful and it lasts really well. Overall, it's the best. So I hope this has been useful for those of you that were thinking about maybe purchasing one of the four foundations that I mentioned. I will move on to a different brand. I'm going to come back and recover some of the ones that I didn't use from the brands that I've done already, because I mean, like Rimmel, for example, people have requested different ones, and I don't know if I've done a L'Oreal one yet, but if I haven't, I will. But I'm really enjoying this series, and I'm glad that you are too. So I'll be back with another one soon, but for now, I will see you guys later in my next video in the next however many days it is till my next video.